I never imagined my marriage would end in silence. No screaming, no dramatic confrontation, just a long, slow fading of everything that used to make sense. My name's Daniel. I'm 42 from North Carolina, and for most of my life I believed patience could fix anything. My wife Melissa used to call me the calm in her chaos. Somewhere along the way she started mistaking that calm for weakness. We met in our late 20s. She worked at the same firm I did, bright, sharp, funny, in a way that made everyone around her pay attention. I was the quiet one, the guy who showed up early and stayed late. She liked that I listened. I liked that she noticed me. For the first few years, things were simple. We built a life, house, dog, weekend barbecues with friends. But love that isn't watered starts to dry quietly, and by our 10th anniversary we were sleeping in the same bed but living in different worlds. Melissa began pointing out my flaws in small, cutting ways. The way I chewed, the clothes I wore, the fact that I still drove my old truck instead of upgrading to something respectable. She'd roll her eyes when I spoke, laugh too long at other men's jokes when we were out. I kept telling myself she was stressed, that people change and marriage is about endurance. But endurance isn't the same as neglect. The shift came one evening when she announced she'd be spending the weekend with her friends at the coast. "You don't mind, right?" she asked, scrolling through her phone, not even looking up. I told her I didn't. Truth was, I minded more than I should have. She'd stopped asking if I wanted to go anywhere with her months ago. When she came back, she smelled like a different life. Perfume I didn't recognize. Laughter that didn't belong to us anymore. I wanted to ask, "Who were you there with?" But I didn't. I just waited, hoping she'd tell me. She never did. Days turned into weeks of polite silence. I'd make dinner. She'd pick at her plate. I'd ask about her day. She'd shrug. It wasn't fighting, it was worse. It was absence disguised as peace. Then one night she finally spoke. "I think we should take a break," she said, casual, like suggesting a movie. "You've been distant." "I don't feel appreciated," I almost laughed. "Me distant?" But I just nodded, letting her believe the story she'd already written. The next morning she packed a small bag, kissed the dog, and left. No tears, no goodbye, just the sound of her heels on the driveway. That night I sat at the kitchen table staring at the chair she used to sit in. The one where she'd drink coffee and talk about her dreams before they all turned into complaints. I realized then that I'd been trying to save something she'd already abandoned. For the first time in months. I slept deeply. 2 weeks later she came back, not because she missed me, but because she expected me to ask her to. She walked in like nothing had happened, tossed her keys on the counter and said, "So, are we going to talk about us?" I looked at her, perfectly composed, confident in her control, and something inside me just clicked off. "Sure," I said. "Let's talk." I listened while she listed all the ways I'd failed her. Not romantic enough, too predictable, too quiet. Every word sounded rehearsed. When she paused, expecting me to argue, I simply said, "You're right." That threw her off. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I mean, you're right. You deserve something else, and so do I." The next day, while she was at work, I met with an attorney. It wasn't anger. It was clarity. The papers were ready within a week. When she came home, they were waiting on the kitchen counter, neat stack, signed, final. She looked at them like they were a joke. "You're not serious," she said, laughing a little. "You think I'm just going to let you walk away?" "I don't need your permission," I replied. For the first time in a long time, she didn't have a response. She just stared at me as if realizing I was someone she couldn't manipulate anymore. That night she packed another bag. I didn't stop her. I didn't say goodbye. I just watched her walk out again. This time with the quiet understanding that she'd already lost what she thought she could play with. 2 days passed. The silence was heavy but peaceful. I cooked for myself, cleaned the house, started sleeping on her side of the bed just because I could. I thought that was the end. Then on the third evening there was a knock at the door. It was late. The kind of quiet where every sound seems louder than it should be. I opened the door and there she was, and Melissa, standing in the porch light, hair messy, face pale, eyes red. She wasn't angry anymore, just tired. "Can we talk?" she asked. Her voice was small, the way it used to sound when she'd apologize after our early arguments years ago. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, glancing around the house as if expecting it to look different. Maybe it did. The tension she'd left behind was gone, replaced by something lighter. Finality. Maybe peace. I didn't think you'd actually do it, she said quietly, looking at the divorce papers still sitting on the table. I know, I replied. You were supposed to fight for us, Daniel. You always did before. I shook my head. I used to fight for us. But lately it's felt like I've just been fighting for you. She frowned, sitting down, her hands trembling slightly. I needed space. I thought you'd, I don't know, care enough to stop me. I did care, I said. That's why I let you go. I'm done confusing patience with begging. She looked down, blinking fast. You're being cold. No, I said. I'm being honest. There's a difference. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The clock in the hallway ticked loud enough to fill the silence. She finally said, I didn't mean for things to go this far. But you did, I said calmly. Because you thought I wouldn't let it. Her eyes lifted to mine, that same sharp, confident look she'd always used to win every argument. But it wasn't working now. For the first time, she looked unsure. You really don't want to try again? She asked. I smiled faintly. You don't try to fix something after you've thrown it away. You replace it or you learn to live without it. She exhaled shakily. I thought you'd always be waiting. I thought you'd never make me stop. That line hung between us for a while. She wiped her eyes and looked around the room. The same pictures, the same furniture, but everything felt distant. Like she'd stepped into a life that no longer belonged to her. I made mistakes, she whispered. We both did, I said. The difference is I learned from mine. Her shoulders slumped. There isn't someone else, is there? No, I said simply. There doesn't have to be someone else for me to realize I deserve better. She let out a small, humorless laugh. You sound so sure. I am. Because the version of me who waited, who begged, who hoped you'd notice him, he's gone. You made sure of that. Melissa stood, her eyes glassy. So that's it? Years together, and you won't even give me another chance. I gave you a decade of them, I said gently. This isn't revenge, Melissa. It's release. She stared at me for a long moment, maybe searching for the man she could guilt or charm into submission. When she realized he wasn't there, she nodded slowly, as if conceding to an unspoken truth. I didn't think you had it in you, she murmured. I didn't either, I admitted. But losing your respect taught me how to find my own. She walked toward the door, stopping just before stepping outside. You'll regret this, she said softly. Maybe, I said. But not tonight. The door closed behind her. The sound wasn't angry, and it was final. I stood there for a moment, breathing in the quiet. The house felt strange, emptier but lighter, like the air itself was exhaling. For the next few days, she texted a few times. Small things, and can we talk? I didn't mean what I said. Please don't do this. I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty, but because I finally understood something. Peace doesn't always come from fixing things. Sometimes it comes from letting them stay broken. Weeks passed. I learned how to cook for one, how to sleep without waiting for someone to turn off the light, how to enjoy silence without guilt. I didn't hate her. In a strange way, I was grateful. She'd taught me what love shouldn't feel like, and what self-respect actually does. A few months later, I saw her at the grocery store. She smiled, hesitated, then walked the other way. And I realized the moment she left wasn't when I lost her. It was when I found myself again. So yes, she expected me to beg. Instead, I thanked her silently for setting me free.